Have you heard the one where I went to public school? So when I was young, I tried public school at a very, very young age. It was like a ghetto school in the area, and it did not work out well. I also tried homeschooling, but that was with my grandmother, and that didn't work out well either. So the school I attended for most of my childhood was White Lake, and it was very small. It's a lot like what Max goes to now. It's just 200 kids from kindergarten to sixth grade. It was very small, cozy, very sheltered. But it was great for what I needed. And in that school, my best friends also went. And well, Jamie and Allison. We were the three amigos. We were inseparable. We were the dream team. And we were three different individuals for sure. But it's like, it was a perfect 80s movies. We worked in this like world of imagination and make believe and like thinking about who we were going to be and dreaming about who we were going to be. And I think about that, like where they went to and where I went to and what we became. And like we had these dreams, oh, we're going to leave this legacy and we're going to have all this money. You do the whole like, what is the paper? The paper thing. And it's like, oh, we're going to have 10 kids and live on a farm with, $1 million yachts. I don't know. But we thought we would all have, the same cars, grow up together. Our kids would play. That didn't happen. But, I reach out to them. I talk to them every once in a while. But we decided to go to high school together. We were going to go to Nolan Catholic, the one that, I got kicked out of. So when we went into seventh grade, we kind of went in there, guns ablaze and thinking we would be all three together. Well, I'll take that back. I don't think Allison probably had, better, a better mindset. We, we knew too much. We knew too much dirt on each other. We, you know, were children together. And so keeping that trust and keeping that friendship through high school was going to be difficult. And we had Jamie, who was super, super sweet, and me was awkward. I was like a little awkward. And then we had Allison, who was just, she was like a woman, and she was like popular, and she had blonde hair. And so I think it was kind of like, let's try and make a life for ourselves outside of each other. So we went to Nolan Catholic. She wasn't really having it, and I don't think Jamie was really either. Well, as you could tell from my past, I wasn't having it either. But they decided to go to a public school that was local. And so they left the Catholic private and went to public. And I felt lost, and I was like, well, I want to try public. I'm not having a great time here. This is like, not my cup of tea. So let's try public school. Oi, that was a bad idea. So I was sheltered, and even in the Catholic school, there was chaos and crazy, and but it was a little bit more hidden. And I had already begun rebelling and having the red hair and like, being a little, you know, I would say I was a rebellious good girl. And when I showed up to the first day of school, I'm in the office and I'm wearing, because it's public school, no uniforms. So I'm wearing like something funky, I'm sure. And a girl comes in with her books, and her name was Debbie. And she was like, oh, hi. And, I look like her crew. So she welcomed me. She brought me into her crew in this public school. So this was a detachment from Jamie and Allison. Jamie had her own friends, Allison had her own friends, and now I was making friends in the weird circle. So it would be like, from Breakfast Club, I'd be like with the people like Allison, the Ali Sheedy. And so then the other two were out, doing something else. And it was protective for sure having that crew because I, would get made fun of being, a little different. But and then I had my first boyfriend in that group, which was really, I think he was like a Jehovah's Witness or something. I don't know. I really feel like I became boyfriend, girlfriend with him just so I could fit in. But this was me learning about being a teenager because I was not learning it anywhere else as fast as a public school taught it. So one story I recall, we were in the bathroom. Well, I was in the bathroom. I think it was probably in class. So I went to the restroom and it is straight out of an 80s movie. I'm, sitting peeing and I start hearing girls talking. Well, are you sure you're pregnant? I don't know. I don't know if I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, we got a test. So here's the test. Just pee on the stick. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm witnessing. And I don't think they know I'm in the bathroom because they came in after me and I'm trying to be quiet. And then I come out of the stall and it's Allison. And she's like, don't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. Later, I found out that she was just doing that to keep up appearances. She had not even had any kind of sex. But I think she found out pretty fast that being in a public school meant that you had to have a certain persona. So I was shocked and I was, a little saddened for her because I thought, she had moved so briskly into adulthood. But like years later, she was like, Corey, I was just doing that to, make them think I was cool. I was like, really? And then we had Jamie, who actually ended up getting pregnant for real in her teens. And so she ended up having this beautiful family. She's like got grandkids now. And then we've got Allison, who became a career girl. And she actually invented a robe for women who have breast cancer. And it's a robe that is allowing, like, the tubes of drainage and needing to get support without being overly painful. And so we're leaving our legacies in different ways. But as in public school, there were drugs. That's when the drugs I started to see come in. I didn't even start doing drugs then. I was too young. But I was accused of it. I remember taking candy because I was like, the rebellious good girl. And I took a piece of candy in class and the teacher like eyed me when I was doing this. And I was like, oh crap, I was busted. And so 10 minutes later, the office comes and gets me and I have to go, to the principals. And I'm like, okay, geez, they're really strict on this candy thing. Well, they thought I was dropping acid because I, look like I should be dropping acid with all my gear. And so I had to sit in that office for 45 minutes to see if I started like hallucinating. And since it was like, a tic tac, I was fine. And I sat there and I was released. My other good story for it being right out of an 80s movies is that they had a school dance. And, I had my leather jacket, biker leather jacket. It wasn't painted up yet, all punk, but just like mine. My aunt got it for me, like my Aunt Marcia. And I remember it had a snap that was bent. And that's how I knew it was mine. Well, when you're at a dance, they don't let you have jackets and they don't have your shoes. Public school, I don't know. So you had to put your jacket, down and then, maybe I just took my shoes off. I think they allowed the shoes. So they don't allow the jacket. So you had to put your jackets out on the table. And then you go and you dance and blah, blah, blah. I came back to not having my jacket. And I was like, oh, okay, somebody stole my jacket in this public school. And I guess it could have been in a private as well. But somebody stole my jacket. And I'm looking around and I'm like, there it is. Some broad had it on. And I could tell it was my jacket. And I went straight up to her and I said, that's my jacket. She's like, no, this is my jacket. I'm like, that button is bent. And I bet you $1 million there's cigarettes because I was smoking. I tried to smoke. I could not smoke. I am not a good smoker. It didn't work out, but I was trying to be cool. I go in here, it's going to be Marlboro, whatever's, and sure enough, it was. And she's like, oh, my mistake. I'm like, yeah, your mistake. But in the heat of the moment, I got so mad and I threw my shoes down. And I'm like, gotta find my jacket. And I found my jacket, but now I was shoeless. And I looked back for my shoes, and my shoes got stolen. So it was like my jacket got stolen, my shoes got stolen. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't take this place. And then the final story, oof, which I'm glad I didn't get sucked into this, is that there was a bad house. I don't know, there's probably a good name for it. A house where the parents allowed the children to drink, do drugs, have sex, do whatever they wanted within their house. And it was only a couple of houses down from, I think, where Jamie was living. And I got into that circle, and ooh, it's a deep one. Luckily, my mom figured it out because she had done so many bad things in her childhood. Like, she could sniff out, the safe houses and the houses that were not so safe. And I remember Jamie and I would walk down to that house, and of course the parents were like, "Come on in." Like, I don't know what else might have been going on in that house. We were very lucky to get out unscathed, but it would just be party after party after party every night. And Jamie's parents were going through a divorce, so she was seeking something, I was seeking something, and we would go there, and that was the first time I think we ever got drunk. And we're spending the night there, sneaking out and going over there with the boys. And I remember my mom's like, let me meet the parents. And I was like, yeah, sure, because the parents could put up a good front. Yeah, my mom knew right away. She's like, you're never going back to that house again. And of course, I think I said, look, oh, you can't stop me. But I knew in my heart she was right. She was right. It was not safe at all. So getting out of that environment, I think, saved me. I could have gone down a really bad road. And I think all of these things had me realize that, public school might not be the best thing for me. I, want to choose a path that maybe isn't going to make my destiny the one my mom went down. And so I did get out of there, and Jamie and Allison and I, we, parted ways. Didn't really talk. I think in our 20s we hooked up and had a meeting, and we even invited some old school like boyfriends or whatever to visit, because, so many boys had crushes on Allison. Oh, God bless her. And not so much me, but I had big crushes on boys. And so we got through that childhood of all the crushes and all the ups and downs. We got through it. And then, yeah, we separated like most teenagers do. But super duper 80s stories right there for you. And maybe that's why Breakfast Club is my favorite movie. All right, well, that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, I'm not big on public schools. I'd rather wear uniforms in private.